Namaskar and a very pleasant good afternoon. Warm greetings to you from DELNET Developing Library Network and Commonwealth Educational Media Center for Asia, New Delhi. It's a profound privilege for us to welcome you all to today's DELNET and CEMCA webinar, which is on leveraging the OERs to enhance the higher learning. It's a profound privilege for us to have each one of you with us today. At the very outset, we would like to welcome Dr. B. Shadrick, the Director, CEMCA, New Delhi. It's a profound privilege for us to have you with us, Dr. Shadrick. Thank you so very much. Firstly, for collaborating with DELNET in organizing this webinar session, which is on a theme which holds a great significance for each and everyone whosoever is being connected with education. So thank you so very much for joining hands with DELNET, and thank you for your immense support, and we welcome you on this platform today. It's also a profound privilege for me to welcome Dr. Ranjan Panigrahi, the Senior Program Officer Education at CEMCA, New Delhi. We extend a very hearty welcome to you, Dr. Panigrahi, and thank you very much for joining us today from CEMCA. And we really look forward, to having your expert presentation on this platform today. Thank you very much for joining us. We extend a very warm, hearty welcome to all our librarians, the library and information science professionals, the faculty members, researchers and scholars, educationalists, the institutional administrators, and many more who have been able to join us today from different nooks and parts of the country and also from various parts of the world outside India as well. I also extend a welcome to all the members and officials of CEMCA New Delhi, and also many of those which are being connected with the CEMCA network. It's a privilege for DELNET to welcome you all today on this platform at this webinar session. I also extend a welcome to my own colleagues of DELNET at New Delhi office, as well as at our offices in Bangalore, Pune, and Hyderabad. At the very outset, I would like to really thank all our attendees who have really shown a very overwhelming response and encouraging response to this webinar. More than 1,500 registrations that we have got this webinar, which speaks volumes of the interest that this topic of OERs, open educational resources, which each one of us really are keen enough to know more about it. And we have an expert organization which is immensely contributing in promoting and enhancing the use of OERs and making everyone sensitized about the relevance of OERs and also how we should really make the best use of these resources. So we have a privilege, I have a profound privilege in welcoming once again Dr. B. Shadrick, the Director of CEMCA New Delhi. And I have immense pleasure in introducing you all to Dr. Shadrick, who has been serving, at the Commonwealth of Learning Canada as Skills Advisor, where he started a new program initiative, Skills for Work, to impart employable and job-ready skills among the people of Commonwealth. He has a profound privilege of serving the most prestigious institutions across the globe and has been connected in senior management teams under large international and regional organizations, including Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. He also has been at Telecenter Organization, Open Knowledge Network, Transparency International, International Secretariat in Germany, and One World South Asia. Dr. Shadrick has also been an Ottawa appointed program lead and grant maker. He has the opportunity to work with some of the most prestigious personalities, including Professor M.S. Swaminathanji, Dr. Peter Egan, Dr. Ashok Khosla, and many more who have been immensely contributing in the knowledge landscape. I have also privilege in informing you that since Dr. Shadrick has started his professional career in 1986 and has immensely been contributing for past more than 4 decades, and he has managed some of the most prestigious projects, including ICT 4D and skill development programs in over 40 nations around the world, working for organizations including IDRC, also British Council, and also with UNESCO, UNIVOC, Germany, FCDO UK, ITO Geneva, ADB Philippines, UNDP, Practical Action in UK, the Open University, and many more. He has also been one of the most distinguished member of Indian Public Library Movement and has really contributed a lot, enhancing the public libraries movement in the country. It's a profound privilege for us to have Dr. Shadrick with us today, and he's now serving CEMCA as its director, and it's a privilege for us and a very long time associate with DELNET. And it's a privilege once again and an honor to have you with us, Dr. Shadrick, today. And thank you very much once again in collaborating with DELNET in organizing this session here today. I would not like to stand between you and our attendees who would really like to get your words of wisdom on this topic today. And I have a privilege and honor in requesting you to kindly deliver the introductory address. It's over to you, Dr. Shadrick.
Thank you, Dr. Sangeeta. It's homecoming for me to collaborate with DELNET. I've collaborated many times with DELNET in the past, but since my return to India from Commonwealth of Learning Canada, this has been a great opportunity. Thank you so much, Dr. Manas, for forging this relationship. I'm extremely pleased that today we are making a journey. We are recommencing a new journey in the life of CEMCA and DELNET. And I only hope that this will go a long way. Thank you again, Dr. Sangeeta Kaur, for inviting me to join this effort and offer a few words as introductory remarks. Of course, we'll hear a lot from my colleague, Dr. Manas Ranjan Panigrahi, who is an expert in open education resources movement, not only in India, but across the globe. He has many publications to his credit. But it's a privilege to provide some opening remarks before he would go through in detail the whole journey of open education resources and how these benefit each one of us. I'm happy to address this introductory message to the librarians, to educationalists, and others involved in pursuing and enabling a large number of people to pursue education. When it comes to the open education resources movement, it all started quite a long time ago. It's not something that has cropped up overnight. It has been a long drawn movement, and I would quickly summarize the history of the OER movement. But before that, I want to remind us that the Education 2030 Framework for Action, which was actually adopted by 184 nations on the 4th of November 2015, is the kind of benchmark that we have today, because it's a collective effort of 184 nations around the world, led by UNESCO and many partners such as the Commonwealth of Learning and others, to ensure that education is provided for all. And in order to do so, the Education 2030 Framework Action on the 4th of November, which was enshrined, had a very good background and the foundation in the form of what we call the Incheon Declaration. In South Korea, on the 19th to the 22nd of May 2015, 160 countries came together, including 120 ministers of education and heads and member delegations from various governments, including bilateral organizations, civil society organizations, teachers, young people, private sector. They all came together to adopt what we call the Incheon Declaration for Education 2030, which actually set out the tenor and tone for the Education 2030 framework. And today we have the fourth goal in the SDG framework on education, which roots itself in the Incheon Declaration. When we look at the Education 2030 framework for action, we can see that there are three major streams or three major pillars that hold the Education 2030 framework if we were to achieve the SDG 4 as a goal in say about 8 years from now. The first pillar was education infrastructure, which is around accessible resources, facilities, establishing brick and mortar, and also online education institutions. So one of the pillars of 2030 framework is education infrastructure. The second pillar is the teachers and educators themselves, because without teachers and educators, we cannot have quality, learner-centered, collaborative pedagogical approaches-based education today, which turns around its head to ensure that it's not teacher-centered, but it's learner-centered. So the teachers and educators form the second pillar, which is extremely important, and their capacity and their ability to turn around the table to ensure that education is learner-centered is important. And the third pillar, which is the topic of the day, is the open education resources and technology. So you can see that if we were to achieve the SDGs, open education resources are extremely important, that these resources are non-discriminatory, learner conducive, learner friendly, context specific, cost effective, and available to all people, all learners. So this is where we see open education resources and technology enabled learning rooted. And I can remind the participants today that if SDG 4 were to be achieved, you need to ensure that these three pillars are strengthened. The education infrastructure, which requires a lot of investment, teachers and educators who need a lot of quality, capacity, and there need to be adequate teachers in every country. But the third pillar, which is actually in our hands, librarians, educators, and others can actually strengthen this pillar, open education resources and technology-enabled learning. Now, why OER is important? Why OER is one of the three pillars? There are two major reasons to it. There could be thousands of reasons, but I want to outline the two major reasons. The first is OER enables quality education that is equitable, inclusive, open, and participatory. Now, all these terms are very important. OER enables equitable education, inclusive education, open education, and participatory education. And when it comes to definition of OER, which Dr. Panigrahi would elaborate upon later, you would understand that why OER alone can make things equitable, inclusive, open, and participatory. The second major reason why OER is important, and as one of the pillars of three pillars of SDGs, is it gives professional autonomy and academic freedom to teachers. It gives them all the autonomy and freedom, academic freedom that they need, because they are no longer users of a curriculum that was developed by somebody else. Now they are producers of education resources, curriculum, and learning material, so that they can use their own. So it gives them the freedom and the professional autonomy. And we can discuss in a while as to how librarians can help in ensuring this professional autonomy, academic freedom, quality education, equitable education, inclusive education, open education, and participatory education can be achieved. But quickly, I want to run through the history behind OER and locate the Commonwealth of Learning and its own role in the whole arena. Of course, Commonwealth of Learning started this journey in early 2000, around 2002. But historically, globally, we see the 2007 Cape Town Declaration on OER as a historic event, followed by the Dhaka Declaration in 2009, and Paris Declaration in 2012, and Ljubljana OER Action Plan of 2007. You can see that there has been a lot of efforts in ensuring that OER is something that is important. That's one of the reasons it's one of the three pillars of the SDG 4. So the 2017 Ljubljana OER Action Plan actually mainstreamed education, because you can see that 2017 is after 2015. The SDGs were announced, the 17 goals, and the 2017 OER Action Plan mainstreams OER in not only SDG 4, which is for education, it also mainstreams in SDG 5 for gender, SDG 9 for industry, innovation, and infrastructure, SDG 10 for reducing inequalities within and across countries, SDG 16, which stands for peace, justice, and strong institutions, SDG 17 for partnerships. So colleagues, if we tackle OER, we are actually contributing to several SDGs directly and indirectly. So that's why OER has become extremely important. And on the basis of all these historic developments, supported by Commonwealth of Learning, on the 25th of November 2019, UNESCO came up with OER recommendations on OER, which was actually endorsed by all the member states of UNESCO. So 2019 UNESCO recommendations are the latest, which provide the clear roadmap for OER development. It gives the definition, which is as simple as this: any teaching, learning, and research material in any format or in any medium that resides in public domain, but the condition, note the condition, but released under open license. Released under open license for no cost access, for reuse, repurposing, adaptation, and redistribution. So we may have to recognize the term, the phrase here, open license, only when it is openly licensed for no cost access, reuse, repurpose, adaptation, and redistribution. OER becomes something really important. Otherwise, any material that is on the internet that could be in the public domain is not actually, open. It could be free, but it is not considered OER. And in a while, my colleague, Dr. Panigrahi, would mention about it. But, when you say open license, it's important for us to recognize that the open licensing regime allows the intellectual property to be held by the owner or creator, but it also equally allows the permission of the material developed for public to access, reuse, repurpose, redistribute, and adapt. And that's the speciality of the whole concept of OER. And once we do this, we are able to provide anytime, anywhere, anyone to access this material and adapt it. And there is a huge resource saving. There is huge cost saving because we are sharing each other's material. So if we were to create a university with curriculum, it is possible for us in 3 days' time to use the existing OER and come up with a curriculum and launch our courses and have our teachers teach from anywhere, because technology allows that to happen. And there are virtual universities that would come up in the near future, where very smart entrepreneurs could put together OER-based curriculum and courses and content, which could become the future of education. Now, I want to mention a word about the Commonwealth of Learning, my organization. And we are the regional center of Commonwealth of Learning, which is actually based in Vancouver, but our regional center is based in Delhi. The one and the only center outside Vancouver is in Delhi, and we are privileged to be hosted by the Government of India as an intergovernmental organization, something similar to the UN entities in India. And as I mentioned, Commonwealth of Learning has been involved in the OER movement from day one, maybe even before that day one, when internationally the movement has been recognized. We have been supporting various governments to come up with OER national level policies, because policies are extremely important as steers and drivers for creating an OER movement. We have been working with 33 open universities around the world in enabling them to create OER policies, institutional level policies, and enabling these universities to actually build OER-based programs, short courses, MOOCs, employment-oriented courses, and so on. And we have also supported them in establishing OER repositories. But today we are here with DELNET, going beyond the 33 open universities, because in India, not only OER is recognized, and the blended learning methods are recognized in the national education policy, but OERs are not just for open universities and open education institutions. OERs are for all institutions. Now, 40% of the courses can be developed using OER material in any institution. So this is where, as participants today, you can play an extremely important role in enabling the faculty members of your institutions to use OER so that they can save time, cost, efforts, and create courses that are employable, that are short courses, micro-credentials, and many other innovative way of spreading education and skills among the learning societies and constituencies. Today, everyone is a lifelong learner, and we can see that the opportunity spreads itself wide and far wide. With DELNET, with Dr. Sangeeta, the dynamic director at the helm of affairs, as I mentioned, we are commencing a journey, but we would like to make this first awareness creation webinar to expose the concepts of OER to the participants as a regular affair. We want this to be continued, any number of times we are available to do this, but we want to take this to the next level. We want to take this to a level where, out of thousands and thousands of members of DELNET, if any institution, any librarian or any institution would be interested to take further training in OER and become a champion within your institution as a OER ambassador, we are willing to provide you training. And we can use DELNET's facilities. We can collaborate with DELNET to provide face-to-face training to those who are interested in deepening your knowledge and understanding, but also make you practitioners of OER. Now we can also support you. Again, the DELNET institution, member institutions, if you want to have your own institutional level OER policy, we can assist you on that. And finally, I think DELNET is very best place to do this, and Commonwealth of Learning CEMCA would be highly interested in supporting it, is to create a open repository and open education resources movement, so that we can have collaborative tools, collaborative content, we can share content. So those institutions that do not have the technological manpower or infrastructure can use DELNET's portal, which probably, I'm making an appeal to also Dr. Sangeeta today to allocate a portion of their resources to create the OER repositories of the various institutions present today. Because friends, colleagues, there is a huge gap, huge resources gap in India of open education resources. Because very recently, the National Repository of OER has got merged into the Diksha, PM Diksha portal. But we see that a large number of institutions now need indeed a repository or a portal where they can share their resources and create a new movement, so that DELNET and CEMCA, Commonwealth of Learning, can help fill the void. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shadrach, for delivering such a highly, splendidly delivering, on the main theme of this webinar session here. We are feeling fully being informed what we are now going to, get more into the session. Thank you so much for apprising us, sensitizing us about this Education 2030 framework, and also about the three important pillars of that: education for education infrastructure, the teachers and educators, and most importantly, the third pillar, and the pillar which is going to be of immense relevance for each one of us, and is definitely going to strengthen our own educational system and the libraries, and that's the OERs. You have really presented it in such a manner that it's everything. We are all now set. We all know that what we are heading to, what we are really wanting, and you have also inspired everyone now, as you have rightly said, that you want them, to become. CEMCA would like to make them as the OERs ambassadors. We have to work. It's like a moment that we have to. All of us have to become, a very much an active part of it, and has to. It's like train the trainers. So we have to get ourselves trained, and then again has to ensure that we are able to, further impart that training to others. And DELNET would be very much delighted to have any collaborative programs, for enhancing, for promoting this open educational resources. And we are pretty confident that this is a curtain raiser. We are making a new beginning today here into the world of open educational resources. And that too, DELNET and CEMCA definitely would like to also take it to the next level by organizing many more programs in the days to come, and also sensitizing our teaching faculties in our institutions, creating this exclusive institutional repository. Definitely, we are already working on it, and DELNET will be very much happy to have a very special kind of a CEMCA corner in that, wherein we are going to bring in lot much of our resources from open educational resources community, and we will be very much delighted. Thank you so much, Dr. Shadrach, once again for such a highly inspiring address, and always it's a pleasure to have you in our programs. And also this is a starting of a new collaboration that DELNET would like to get into, and also this is to strengthen this entire movement of open educational resources. So thank you very much once again, Dr. Shadrach, and we really are much grateful to you for having DELNET also as one of the partner in having today's webinar session. Thank you so much, Dr. Shadrach. Now we would like to request Dr. Manas Ranjan Panigrahi, the Senior Program Officer Education. And well, before I formally request Dr. Panigrahi to give a presentation on this entire concepts of leveraging OERs for enhancing higher learning, I have immense pleasure in introducing you all to Dr. Manas Ranjan Panigrahi, who has been serving at CEMCA in Delhi for past more than 8 years. He joined way back in May 2014. Before joining CEMCA, Dr. Panigrahi served in the Department of Educational Planning and Management, College of Education and Behavioral Sciences at Haramaya University in Ethiopia, in East Africa, as Associate Professor in Education from 2010 to 2014. Dr. Panigrahi also served at Indira Gandhi National Open University, National Council for Educational Research and Training, and also at Manav Rashna International University, among many others in different capacities. During his tenure in Haramaya University, he taught graduate level students in the areas related to instructional supervision, also the educational policies and development, educational technology, educational management and administration, and educational research. Dr. Panigrahi has completed his bachelor's degree and pursued MA in education, and then he did his master's in history from Utkal University. He also earned his doctorate in education from Jamia Millia and has published a number of research articles and also papers on the central theme of education. He's an accomplished organizer of professional events and has participated in many teleconferencing, video conferencing, and workshops. And they have just been back, I believe Dr. Shadrach and Dr. Panigrahi has just been back, from the headquarters of the Commonwealth Learning from Canada. And it's a profound privilege now for us to request Dr. Panigrahi, and all of us, nearly 500 participants here today, are eagerly now wanting, to hear from Dr. Panigrahi. So we look forward and we request you, Dr. Panigrahi, to start the presentation on leveraging open educational resources, that is OERs, for enhancing higher learning. So all of us are all set now, to hear from you, Dr. Panigrahi, and profound privilege in requesting you to take the session on. It's over to you, Dr. Panigrahi.
Thank you very much, Dr. Sangeeta Kaul from DELNET. And hello, friends. It's a long introduction, Dr. Kaul shared about me, and however I can introduce myself. I am one of the learners amongst you, and trying to learn more about open educational resources with you. Thank you very much, Dr. Shadrach, for your very nice and very systematic introductory remarks on open education resources, which is make me more enthusiastic to share what I learned on open educational resources so far. Thank you very much. Esteemed colleagues from participating this webinar, and my colleagues from CEMCA as well as DELNET who are participating with us. And this is giving me immense pleasure to share my learning thoughts which I learned so far on open educational resources. And I would like to take a note here that if we will interact more and more after my presentation, that will be more encourageable for me to learn more and more, and on behalf of Commonwealth of Learning and DELNET. Thank you very much. Let me just share my screen and
sure.
Yeah, I think my screen is visible right now, and let
Yes,
me
very
just
much.
open. Yeah, this is the great. Let me just yeah.
Dr. Panigrahi, if you may just kindly put it in the slide mode so that we can have a better
Yeah,
visibility.
absolutely.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thanks.
Thank you, friends. As I would like to just begin with two slides to introduce with you very interesting survey results Commonwealth of Learning conducted during 2016. And this survey really make us to understand that how open educational resources is helping for minimizing the barrier towards the access to learning. And you can see this slide, it is students talking about access to educational resources, and found that around 67% of the students reported they do not afford original books. And only 19% of students reported original books are not available in their local market. See, the strange in 21st century, we are listening from our learners and the students according to this kind of their report. And if I will move to the next slide, this is really amazing for me to, while I'm looking into this result, more than 73% of the students reported that they photocopied the entire book for their study purposes. And if I will combine many things, chapters and other things, it is going more than 80% of the students. They are photocopying the books, which is, you can understand, my dear friends, being a teacher, you can understand that where we are and where what kind of thought we are looking into to recognizing the intellectual property rights and thoughts as well. So before moving to, I'm just park this survey aside, and I would like to request you to relate this survey entire in my presentation, and you decide that how open educational resources can enhance the higher learning. Thanks to Dr. Shadrach, and he put before the journey of open education resources. And I am taking this privilege to just narrate a few things. The MIT course Open Courseware project is created for having sparked a global open educational resource movement after announcing in 2001 that it was going to put MIT's entire course catalog online and launching this project in 2002. Other contemporaneous OER projects include Connections, which was launched by Richard Warkent in 1999 and showcased with MIT Open Courseware at the launch of the Creative Commons Open License in 2002. So this is very interesting history, which the thoughts are beginning. And in a first manifestation of this movement, MIT entered a partnership with Uttar State University, where assistant professor of instructional technology, you can see that instructional technology designer, which is very famous educational technologist, David Valley, set up a distributed peer support network for the open courseware's content through voluntary self-organizing and communities of interest. And the term is looking into this open educational resources. First, it was adopted at UNESCO's 2002 forum on the impact of open courseware for higher education in developing countries. So in September 2007, my friends, you can just note it here, the Open Society Institute and Shuttleworth Foundation convened a meeting in Cape Town, South Africa, to which 30 leading proponents of open education were invited to collaborate on the text of a manifesto. The Cape Town Open Education Declaration was released on 2008, January 22, urging governments and publishers to make publicly funded educational materials available at no charge via internet. So all contents which is developed by the public money, public funded money, that need to be released free of cost through internet. The global movement of open educational resources culminated at the first World OER Congress convened in Paris on June 2012 by UNESCO, Commonwealth of Learning, and other partners. Here the contribution of Commonwealth of Learning resulting in as Paris OER Declaration in 2012, shared commitment of the international organizations, governments, and institutions to promoting of open licensing and free sharing of publicly funded content. It has gone to the not only just the contents which is developed, as well as promoting towards the national level policies and strategies on open education resources. It is also fostering to capacity building, and open resources has been encouraged. In 2018, the second World OER Congress in Slovenia was co-organized by UNESCO and Government of Slovenia. The 500 participants great. 500 participants from 111 countries adopted the OER action plan. It recommended 41 actions to mainstream open license resources to achieve the 2030 Sustainable Development Goal 4 on quality and lifelong education. And I would like to just share with you the very interesting part of that progress which is happened in 2019 with UNESCO's OER recommendation. The UNESCO's OER recommendation on open educational resources adopted by UNESCO's General Conference at the 40th session, it is the first international normative instrument to advance the field of openly licensed educational materials and technologies in education. What these recommendations are talking about support the development of sharing of openly licensed learning and teaching materials benefiting learners, teachers, researchers worldwide. It supports the creation, use, and adaptation of inclusive and quality open educational resources through 5 major areas of actions. What are these? Building capacity of stakeholders to create, access, use, adapt, and redistribute open educational resources. Developing supportive policy at national as well as institutional level. Encourage inclusive and equitable quality open educational resources in terms of courses, micro-credentials, and mini-credentials, or any online courses or in the form of book to be reached to the participants in free of cost. Nurturing the creation of sustainability model for open educational resources and facilitating international cooperation and partners and network to help each other to develop more sharing culture in the intellectual property is concerned. Dear friends, the open educational resource definition is concerned, that is a license that is as open as possible, encourages right of access for everyone, and mentions users' ability to repurpose or adapt the resources. In 2012, Open Educational Resources Paris Declaration states that open educational resources are teaching, learning, and research materials in any medium, digital or otherwise, that reside in the public domain or have been released under an open license, that permits no cost access, use, adaptation, and redistribution by others with no or limited restrictions. Open licensing is built within the existing framework of intellectual property rights as defined by relevant international conventions and respects the authorship of the work. Excuse me. So hence, what we understand from these, open educational resources are those teaching learning materials that are available either in public domain or under an open license. The public domain in the context of open educational resources mean teaching learning materials with which copyright has expired or for which copyright has been explicitly forfeited by the author, or copyright has been declared by the author, giving chance to others to use their materials in any way without any restrictions. While we will learn about open license and copyright in my presentation, it is important to note that licensing is a concept within copyright law, and an open license can allow the adaptation of a work under different circumstances. So friends, it's seems open educational resources encouraging us to access to learning and access to learning resources effectively, adequately within the mandate of copyright law. It means there is no violation of copyright law as long as we respect the licenses is concerned. So now I would like to share with you a survey question or the quiz. Let us understand what you are thinking about this. My colleague from DELNET may be release the quiz right now.
We have launched it, Dr. Panigrahi.
Great, thank you very much. We can
yes.
30 seconds.
Yes,
we will give 30 seconds for our all colleagues. They can attend this quiz and keep it in your mind if you have any questions relating to this quiz. At the end of our presentation, we will have a discussion. Thank you very much.
we would like to request all our attendees to come forward in giving their replies to this questionnaire. Only 25% of you have voted as of now, requesting each and everyone to come forward and please give us your opinion about this question. Kindly answer. You have only two choices, true or false. The statement, the term free means the same as open. Do you feel it is true, it is correct, or if you feel it's wrong, so opt for false. So you have got two options. 36% of you have voted. Please quickly come forward. We would at least like to have a 50% of you, should vote for this so that we get an opinion, out of, your views. So 40%, it has now reached to 40%. Please help us further by completing at least a 50% mark. 41% have voted. Come forward, please, quickly. Dr. Panigrahi may like to, get the inputs from each and everyone. Requesting you, 44% it has reached. May we request those of you who have not yet, given their opinion, come forward and give your opinion, please. We are inching towards 50% mark. Yeah,
we are testing ourselves, friends, and this is just encouraging to go to our next step of the different slides where we can learn more and more about this.
Dr. Panigrahi, 48% of them, of the attendees have given their opinion, and let me just disclose, 75% of them have gone for the first option. That is true. According to them, 75% have a point that they do agree with the statement that the term free means same as open, and 25% have gone for the option false, the second option.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you very much, Dr. Kaul, just facilitating me to understand that our colleagues' opinion on this survey. And I will not tell you the answer. I would like to reserve here our answer. You can explore your answer in my presentation in forthcoming slides. And again, probably we will have a relaunch of this same survey. That time we will see what will be your understanding and answer on this. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Kaul, helping me and facilitating in this journey. Thanks a lot. Let's understand, my dear friends, this is copyright. Copyright is a legal terminology where it is giving us the room where we can make the use of intellectual properties in an ethical way. Any resources, any materials we need to use within the mandate of that copyright law, where we can get into this access to these resources. But here I would like to just add in context of the open educational resources, that is open license, and then result is coming into the some rights reserved. It means it's not completely free, but some conditions will be there which we need to follow these conditions and enjoy with these resources which is come across with us. Let us understand about it. It allows you some rights reserved. It's talking about the more sharing. It means enjoying with the reuse, remix, and redistribute and retain. More scalability, more innovation, less time, wider access to quality resources and data, wider research experience, data mining, and wider exposure of the writer himself or herself rather than the publisher. So let us see here, this is called open. This is called open, my dear friends. So copyright laws come with a license clause that gives author the right to license their work for reuse, revise, remixing, and redistributing and retaining. When the author is not traceable, the law provides mechanisms to obtain a license from a distincted authority. So, friends, I would show here the things, how it is happening. What is the what is when we are mixing with the open license, adding to this and some rights reserved. Let us see. We can start with the close. When it will be closed, the cost of resources is high. Innovation is less, access as always less. So closed, it confined to the copyright. When we will add open license into it. So that flavor gives you result like this. You can see cost goes down, innovation increased, and access increased significantly. So friends, now you can back to your question, survey questions, and start thinking on that, and listen to me in my subsequent slides. So what is this open license is? Why we will consider this open license and consider the licenses? Let us see to understand this one. As we understand, by default, copyright is automatic and all right resort. Thus, permission is required from the author to use their work. Copyright and licensing issues are at the heart of open educational resources, as they have important implications for creators, users, and institutions, those who are honored to that. In the area of open educational resources, which focuses specifically on educational content, the Creative Commons licenses are the ones most extensively used in it. Open education pursuits, however, are quick to point out that not all Creative Commons licenses can be considered completely open. Let us understand all these Creative Commons licenses in my next set of slides. And before moving to that, we need to understand what is open. Again, questions comes to there. What do you mean by open? And what I understand about the open, it is about open license used to share educational material. Used to share educational material. It means we can understand that we cannot share the materials which is copyrighted and without taking the prior permission of the copyright holder. But when open license is concerned, they're used to share education material, no permission required as long as the open license is respected. The user can play with the materials with 5R. That is reuse, revise, remix, redistribute, and retain. So looking into this openness, what I'm understanding, you can understand this 5R is the more important aspects for open educational resource is concerned. So the concept to open educational resources, my dear friends, we can need to understand when these resources allows us to enjoy with this 5R or maximum of 5 out of 5 hours. So that is if we are concerned and respect to the open license on is given that you need not want to take any permission from the author to enjoy with this 5 hours. So what is this Creative Commons licenses? What are these open licenses which is called as Creative Commons licenses? Need to understand while you can identify a resource and use it your own purpose, or you can produce your own resources using these resources for as an open educational resources. So the Creative Commons license, what is this? Creative Commons is a non-profit organization that aims to promote better identification, negotiation, and reuse of content for the purpose of creativity and innovation. The very clear of their objective. The Creative Commons licenses have been designated to offer a flexible and straightforward tool for people who value access to and use of their works over monetary incentives while still maintaining same rights. So this Creative Commons licenses belongs to Creative Commons non-profit organization, which is come out with the certain conceptual framework. Within that conceptual framework, we can use these concepts and putting to the respective resources and use these resources and create our own resources and sharing using benefit of this Creative Commons licenses. Why use Creative Commons licenses? Creative Commons licenses has in education particularly become the most popular licensing system across the globe. You can point out from the history of open educational resources and promotion of open education resources and adoption of open education resources by the institutions, governments, as well as teachers and students as well for their learning purposes. Creative Commons has designed a collection of licenses to ensure that there is a suitable license for sharing content under various conditions. What are the advantages of this? The advantages of using a Creative Commons license are there is most certainly a ready-made license that will suit the publisher's requirement. Publishers means authors' requirement, saving time and effort in drawing up a custom license. Creative Commons licenses are easily understood and commonly used, so a potential reader or reuse of a work will immediately understand the conditions of the license. Very easy to understand. The licenses have machine readable metadata to make it easier for author to find a Creative Commons licensed resource on the web. So we need to understand that. So from this slide, you can see there are 3 layers of licenses which making you to understand, that is legal code, commons code, and digital code. Legal codes are expensive legal languages and tested in several cases. Common codes is very simple, icon based, and to recognize our features of very easily. The common codes are usually used by the authors who are releasing their contents or the resources as OER. Digital code enables search engines to locate resources using Creative Commons rights expression languages. It is helping the users to identify very easily from the repository or the digital library where these contents are available for the same for the authors who can retrieve from there with the specific licensed material what they require for their purposes. I can stop here for again another 30 seconds to 1 minute of time to play the survey with this. I would like to request my colleague from DELNET to release the survey right now.
So here goes a question, Dr. Panigrahi, to all our attendees. Creative Commons licenses are all open licenses. Please select one, true or false. Is it right or is it wrong statement? Requesting you, 10% of you have voted. Please kindly help us by coming forward quickly and giving your opinion about it. It has now reached to 23%. This is an appeal to all those who have not yet opted for any of the option. We don't have any option, any option to click on. You have to click either to true or false So give us your opinion, which would really help us in knowing how do you, what is your opinion about, what is your perception on this, whether Creative Commons licenses are all open licenses. Do you agree with this statement or you don't agree? 38% of you have voted. Requesting each one of you, those of you who have not yet voted, please come forward and give us your opinion so that quickly Dr. Panigrahi can take the session further. 41% of you have voted. Maybe request you a few more, at least a few more. We really want it to be 100% voting, but it seems that you are in a dilemma, which one to click to, whether is it a true or is it false, and you really want Dr. Panigrahi to tell you about it. 45% of you have voted. Maybe request a few more to at least let it achieve a 50%, milestone of 50% at least we should have, so that we are able to create some opinion about what our attendees feel on this. 48% of you have voted, which has now become 49%, 1% further to go before we close the survey. It seems it's being stuck at 49%. Yes, now it is 50%. Thank you very much. And here it goes, Dr. Panigrahi, for you. 69% have gone for first option, that is true, and 31% have said no, it's a false statement. 69% true, and remaining 31% has gone for option number 2, false. So it has now come to 70-30%. 52% of you have voted. Thank you very much. 70-30%. So here it is for you, Dr. Panigrahi.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kaul, for facilitating this very quickly and encouragingly with our colleagues to respond to this survey. Thank you very much. Yes, those 35% or the 32% of my colleagues chosen false. I would like to request you, please, little bit attentive in further slides. Definitely you will get the clear idea about that, how Creative Commons licenses are open licenses, considered as open licenses. Thank you very much. Moving towards our further discussions, you see, Creative Commons licenses brought us for this conditions for different licenses is concerned. And all Creative Commons licenses are constructed from a combination of 4 specific concepts and rights, which is attribution, share alike, and non-commercial and non-derivative. You can see the conditions that can be reserved by the creator or author of the resource. These conditions need to be understood first. What do you mean by attribution? Attribution is the condition where we need to just extend our thanks to the creator. Creator only wants to his or her recognition on their resources, and creators will be very much happy to the use of their materials and the resources in the learning purposes. So hence, my dear friends, that must reference the work giving you credit for it, the way you request, but not in a way that suggests you endorse them or their use of the work. If they want to use your work without giving you credit or for endorsement purposes, they must get your permission first. This is the concept for the attribution. Look into this non-commercial. You let others copy, distribute, display, perform, modify, revise, unless you have chosen no derivatives, and use your work for any purpose other than the commercial. If they want to use your work commercially, they must get your permission for that. That is very interesting of this concept. No derivatives, you let others copy, distribute, display, and perform only original copies. You cannot change or you cannot derive anything from that original resources. If they want to modify your work, they must get your permission first. Share alike, it's a very interesting one to very diplomatically this concepts made for to preserve the major originality and bias in using of the materials freely. So you let others copy your material, distribute, display, perform, modify, recreate your work. As long as they distribute any modified work on the same terms. If they want to distribute modified works under other terminologies, maybe with non-commercial or non-derivative or something, they must get your permission first. That is more important, these things. So the most popular combinations of the Creative Commons rights and concepts and the conditions make up these 6 licenses. You can see here the 6 licenses is talking about CC BY, CC BY SA, and CC BY NC, CC BY NC SA, CC BY ND, CC BY NC ND. This BY is represent to the concept of attribution, CC represents to Creative Commons, and SA represents to share alike, NC represents to non-commercial, ND represents to your non-derivative. Hope you friends you are understanding about this. Let us understand each and every license concepts and rights which is given to the users by the authors adopting of any one of the license to their resources. Friends, these are the all 6 Creative Commons licenses as you have seen here, and moving towards one by one of these licenses. Friends, you can easily understand about I'm talking about the this one. You can. I'm just what happened. I don't know. I'm facing something. Okay, now it is okay. So, friends. This is the license attribution which is CC BY. It is most open license among all the 6 licenses. Here, this license let others distribute, revise, remix, tweaking to the work, and come out with their own resources. Even they can use it for the commercial. It means it allows to adopt any other licenses which will be the byproduct of this licensed resources. If we will see here, this is just second a little bit more condensing kind of license, which is allows the users to revise, remix, and redistribute, including use all 5 are here, but unless or until it is asking for any non-commercial, you can even use commercially for this licensed material. And example of the means renowned and very much popular platform, that is Wikipedia, Wikimedia, and Wikiversity. Any wiki things is concerned to that. Friends, when I come to this license, just adding NC to CC BY SA, it means you can do whatever you want to do with this 5 Rs, but you need to be very careful if you will go for the commercial use, because it is giving a restriction to non-commercial only, but you can of derivatives, as well as you can enjoy with this 5R is concerned. CC by NC, just it is added to your CC by, that is icon is added to NC. You can see this is NC and essay, NC essay. So this is, you can able to do revising, remixing, tweaking, and you can build upon your work non-commercially, because it is not allowed for the commercial purposes. So although their new works must also be acknowledged, you and be non-commercial, they don't have the license their derivative works on the same terminologies. This is very much closed type of license. You can see, friends, this is talking about CC BY ND, and ND is defined concept as non-derivative, means you need to use the material as it is without any changing, or you cannot enjoy almost all the 5 hours. You can only enjoy with the few hours, that is you can redistribute, means same material you can distribute among the closed group, or you can just retain it with you for your purpose. And so it is talking about more about that more closed based of license, which is not allowed to do much with the resources is concerned. Well, look into this CC by NC and D. Again, with the CC by ND, I just added into that non-commercial, which is more closed to closed license to previous license, which is we were talking about the CC by ND. Friends, here the restrictions are more, and so this is as like as copyrighted materials. But advantage of this license is that you can use it for your own purposes, and you can share among your within a closed group of this materials and resources, which can be this closed group may be the get wider benefit in their learning purposes. So with these 6 licenses, that is the combination of these 4 concepts, which is come out with the specific icon, as well as which is written in the slide. You can see CC by NC ND. That kind of privilege is giving. You just pick this picture or this writer and add to your materials and release it very easily, which is adaptability of this licenses is more important and more easy for use, which is for academic or the students and the librarians who can ensure the more quality use of these materials effectively, and which can be reached to the last mile of the learners to get more effective is concerned. So Creative Commons also come up with defining about the public domain. What is this public domain is? Shadrak very nicely mentioned about this public domain is concerned. Let me just add value to that. Creative Commons license public domain tools enable authors and copyright owners who wants to dedicate their works to the worldwide public domain to do so. Just pick this license, that is CC0 public domain license. You can see this is the icon, but from the Creative Commons public domain, this is the icon CC0. CC0 Creative Commons, it is CC stands for the Creative Commons and 0 stands for copy left. Copy left. So no rights reserved. No rights reserved. allows licensor to waive all rights and place a work in public domain. The public domain mark identifies a work that is free of known copyright restrictions. It is not recommended for works that are restricted by copyright laws in one or more jurisdictions. So you need to be very careful about this one. So my dear friends, what we learned so far, this is very much important aspect of the open educational resources is concerned. All Creative Commons licenses. The Creative Commons licenses are built up with 4 concepts. Starting with these 4 concepts is mixing and putting in a logical order and judicious order not to violate any copyright materials is concerned, and it allows to use the resources effectively for the learning purposes and create more resources for the further learning purposes, which the benefit to encourage low cost and more innovation and more access to the learning resources. So hence, with these words, understanding, I will stop here for again 1 minute. This will be the last survey, and we need to participate more and more, more than 55% as we participated last survey. So I request my colleagues at DELNET kindly release this. Friends, now you can start pulling up with this. Which licenses do not allow use and or sharing commercially? The licenses, 4 licenses are written here. First is CC BY, CC by ND, and CC by SA, CC by NC, ND. So my friends, you hope you are enjoying with the pulling to this answer and checking yourself that where we all are. I'm just waiting for another minute.
Yes, 17% of the attendees have voted. We request you have got 4 options. And the question is very much clear: which licenses do not allow use and or sharing commercially? CC BY, CC BY ND, CC BY SA, or CC BY NC ND. You have got 4 options. 23% of you have voted, requesting you, as we don't have really much time left with us. So Dr. Panigrahi also have to, speed up, the presentation, because we want to have some time, at least some 10 minutes time to have interactions also with each one of you. So we request you, I believe 32% of you have voted, and I think I'm compelled because of the time constraints to disclose the findings of this. And this is for you, Dr. Panigrahi, to keep a note. 18%, I will just go, by the serial numbers. So first option, 18% have gone for first option, 27% for the second one, 17% for the third one, and 39% for the last one. So 39%, so the maximum number of the attendees have gone for the last option, CC by NCND. 39% maximum percentage of the votings have gone for them, followed by option number 2, CC by ND. 26% have voted, followed by the first option, CC by, and the last one is CC by SA. So 4, 2, 1, and 3. This is the in percentage in the order, descending order. It's over to you, Dr. Panigrahi.
Thank you very much, Dr. Kaul. Thank you very much. And I would like to just state here, CC by, you please see here, it allows commercial. CC by ND, it is no derivative. By is there, you need to recognize to the author, but it is still allowing commercially. CC by SA also allows commercially, but which is not allowing commercially, that is CC by MC and D. Thank you very much for joining with us and using this poll to check ourselves and put up ourselves into for more learning on this open educational resources is concerned. Special reference to this Creative Commons license. Thank you very much. Moving towards C, this is very interesting summary of open licenses is concerned. You can see here that while all of 6 Creative Commons licenses are more open than full copyright, we are not nowhere what is called violating the copyright rights. So some are more open than others. The diagram you can see here illustrates the relative restrictions and of each license is making the people to creating a boundary for the use of their resources. It is up to the author or creator of the resources to determine how open the new resources licenses should be and to choose appropriate license for them. The less restrictive the license, the more useful the resource can potentially be for other creators. You can see here how it looks in 2002 to 2012 relating to this OER Congress Paris Declaration, and where it is talking about all licenses here and showing you the least open to most open up to the public domain. And in 2012 declaration, it considered subsequently that open educational resources, but these 2 licenses are no doubt it is open educational resources, but no longer used as open educational resources. So this is very important aspects, this chart, if you will see, and combination of this chart, you can see the tick mark are permissible, those with the cross or not. So here this is while you are preparing your own content, if you are taking various resources from various licenses, you need to be very careful whether these licenses are compatible with each other or not. You can see that green mark tick is allowing you to use these licenses which is compatible with each other, and where you can enjoy with this 5R, and which is crossed with black mark, and it is not allowed to do derivative or revising and remixing of the materials, which is combination with the 2 licenses. So friends, while you will create your own open educational resources, you need to be a little bit more critical in this regard. You need to understand that how it can be compatible with one license with another. So friends, where you get these open educational resources? There are, you need to make use of different search engines. I will just quick go through all these things, and you can see a lot of resources, a lot of platforms are available as open educational resource repository, and allowing various robust search engines through which you can choose the different license, particularly which is interest to you. Then you can retrieve that materials which is you are searching for. So these are the very much popular repositories, and I can recommend you more widely useful repository, that is Commonwealth of Learning's repositories, that is Oasis, and the materials are released under open educational resources, and you may lucky enough to find your area of specialized resource materials for your better learning, and recommend to others to as well to use this platform where they can get their own resources as well. So these are the different repositories. Again, I can say here, Flickr, which is for images, Google Advanced Search for all kind of things you can get as open education resources. Video, Vimeo platform, it is for video, which is a collaboration between Vimeo as well as Creative Commons. And OER Commons is allows for the text materials, and it also allows you to create your own resources in their platform and release under OER. So you can see a lot of platforms are available where you can get your resources and use these resources your purpose, contextualizing, enjoying with these 5 Rs, and create your own resources and contribute to this knowledge society for wider benefit and learning particularly is concerned. Friends, before moving to end of my slide, I would like to recommend you, please visit to this callcommons.org, which is a learning management system where we have hosted several courses, including open educational resources, that is understanding open educational resources. This course is only for 2 hours of time, and you will learn more and more about what I shared here. Then you can have the culture of open education resources, and you can enjoy with this culture to contributing your own OERs to the knowledge society. So please remember callcommons.org, callcommons.org. So this will take you to the platform. You can enroll yourself and enjoy the course. And I would like to request you, if you wish, you can share your certificate, which you will receive from Commonwealth of Learning with DELNET, where you can. We will be more happy to see your certificate and your progress towards the open educational resource community and become an ambassador to open educational resources. Thank you very much. I can stop here and listen to you now, and more discussions for a couple of minutes. Then we will connect each other many times and many ways alternatively. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Panigrahi, for such a highly enriching session. Excellent session by you. We all have been seeing these, Creative Commons licenses, but have not been really knowing to such an extent, what they all carry. And you have, in such a lucid manner, have made everyone understand what they really stand for and what is the significance of each and every one. So thank you so very much. And also, lastly, that you have also informed to our attendees about number of these open educational resources sites. We have also sent it to all our attendees, the link wherein they can take a course which is being offered on OER by the Commonwealth of Learning. So I think many of our attendees, after signing off, from the session, may like to get themselves enrolled for that. Thank you so very much. In a very, very simple manner, you have really made, the complex things simpler, and that speaks volumes of your expert, a hold that you have on this vast subject. And we really look forward. There are many areas in which DELNET would be more than happy to collaborate with CEMCA. This is just a beginning, that we have made today, and many things, that we can think about holding in the near future, the specific programs on each and every facet, even creating how to create these open educational resources. We will be very happy, and also to create a huge institutional repositories of these open educational resources. DELNET will be glad, to collaborate with CEMCA in undertaking that work, especially for our Indian institutions in India. So thank you so very much once again, Dr. Panigrahi. We are indeed much grateful to you, thankful to you for making the session so lively with your and sharing your vast expertise on this subject with each one of us. Thank you so very much. So now, with your permission and also permission of Dr. Shadrick, we would like to keep the floor now open for questions. We would like to have at least 10 minutes, for the question answers. Requesting you, please kindly raise your digital hand, and or to make the things more simpler and faster, If you can post your question in the chat box, then we would be able to take more questions, and we would appreciate if you can post your message in the chat box. We would be more than happy to, forward that question to our distinguished speaker and also to Dr. Shadrick so that they can give their, opinion about it. Floor is entirely yours. Please raise your digital hand or post your question in the chat box if you really want, to ask. You should, though the presentation was indeed a very highly enriching session, but still, if you have any questions, please raise your digital hand and we'll be glad to give you an audio control. I'm quickly sifting through the entire attendees list to see, well, before I have a look at the chat box, but firstly, just going through the entire list to see if we have any of you who has raised their digital hand. I could see that H. Shivappa is there, who is wanting to ask something. The moment I have said his name, he has lowered his hand. So I think sometimes it happens in the online, you just want to see what an option does. And we could see, Kavita, I'm going to take your question. I believe you have also posted your question. No, this is not a question. You have been asking something about the webinar link for the recording and all that. We'll take it. Let me just also share with you the entire recording of the session will be uploaded on the DELNET's YouTube channel, the web view, and we will be happy to, we will be also informing you about it, but you can very well go to YouTube and can see this. We have Mr. Muthu Kumar who may like to ask a question. Mr. Muthu Kumar K, you have raised your digital hand. Kindly unmute yourself and ask the question. Mr. Muthu Kumar K, would you like to ask any question? I think I'm requesting you, please. This is Nagendra P. Mr. Nagendra P, kindly raise your digital hand only if you wish to ask a question. Mr. Nagendra P, I have unmuted you, requesting you if you may like to ask the question. Now, let me quickly from end to move. Mr. Nathu Singh. Mr. Nathu Singh, you have raised your digital hand. Would you like to ask a question? Mr. Nathu Singh, I unmuted you. Would you like to ask a question? I think, I'm requesting you, please post your question in the chat box because it seems that at times it happens in the online sessions. Mr. Rajkumar. Mr. Rajkumar, if you may like to ask your question, we have unmuted you. Mr. Rajkumar. Oh. We will just quickly be moving over because as we could notice, I'm requesting you, please post your message in the chat box. We're just going to have a look at the chat box messages. And so here goes the question. And this is a quite, yeah, this is firstly, let me just say, okay, this is from Professor Lakshman Rao ji. Everyone is well knowing about Professor Lakshman Rao. Thank you very much, sir, for being there this afternoon with us. And his question is how to mention which type of Creative Commons license does the document belong to? Do we need to register or self-declaration is enough? Would you like to say something about it, Dr. Panigrahi?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a very nice question, Professor Lakshman. Thank you very much for being connecting with us. This is very as simple as the icons which is I used and showed in my what is called presentation. Just icons you can just put in appropriately in your credit page, and small description if you can give about that icon of the Creative Commons license, that would be very useful for the user, which they can use appropriately the license is concerned which you are declaring. Otherwise, there is nothing to take any registration with Creative Commons or OER Commons or any other platform to get this license. However, you can create the license appropriately going to the Creative Commons site, and there is a plays and allows you to play with that, how to create and understand all 6 kind of licenses. But it is not necessary for people, those who understand about open educational resources and Creative Commons licenses. They can just pick the icon, maybe taking a screenshot or something, and use this icon appropriately in your document, so that you can declaring that within this mandate mind materials released under Creative Commons license X, and it can be useful for the learners within that condition. Thank you. Hope I made.
Thank you very much, Dr. Panigrahi. Just a quick question for you, Dr. Panigrahi. Do we have any registry of open, open licenses? Do we have any global registry wherein all these open licenses, to whichever kind of document that's being given, they are being recorded? Is there any attempt being made, in this direction?
No,
registry
no.
of.
It is just concepts, and the use of concepts, it is completely depends upon the authors who can use this concept for their materials which they want to release under open education.
That's fine, Dr. Panigrahi. What I was trying to say is whether a database has been made that what kind of all these Creative Commons licenses have been availed of by various means anyone it can be means a registry of, like the way we have directory of open access resources or like that. Do we have for open educational resources any registry wherein it gets registered that this has been registered with this Creative Commons license? A Creative Commons license has been availed of, by that particular resource. Is there any one global registry of such kind of?
No, not at such. I don't have that information so far. Maybe people are using, and this concept is widely recognizable, and the various repositories they are using within their policy is concerned, and there are few platforms like Merlot and MIT Courseware, and there are other few popular what is called repositories. They have that database regarding to the Creative Commons licenses being used.
Perfectly fine. Herein comes a question, and this question is from Sagendra Singh Parmar, who is wanting to know that I have 2 questions. Number 1 is, after creating a piece of content, how can a professor make it an OER and publish it publicly? And what other open licenses exist besides public domain and CC licenses to identify content as OER? And this is from Mr. Sagendra Singh Parmar. So we would appreciate, so 2 questions. Number 1 is how can a professor how a teacher can make a particular content under this OER, can make it as an OER and publish it. And secondly is about this, what other open licenses exist besides this public domain and CC license? To you, Dr. Panigrahi.
Yeah, thank you very much for this question. First question is relating to the how to publish own content as open educational resources. When you put your license to your content, whether it is produced by your own original effort or you are using open educational resources appropriately, then that is treated as OER. Now your content is OER. So this piece of content, when you made it with the license, that is your OER. So now question comes to that, how you will share this content. The various means of sharing are available, where you can share your content as OER. Particularly, you can share through various platforms, social media platforms. You can share your content. Number 1. Number 2, if your content is relating to your organization, and if your organization have that policy and they may have the priorities to host your content, that is also another option to put your content to that platform where one can get access to your content, as well as the publicly. If you will look into that, there are many options who can release your content as OER, particularly scholarly journals are there, and there are many repositories. They are encouraging people to contribute their content as open educational resources. For example, if I will say that example of Merlot also wants encouraging people to share their content as open educational resources. At the same time, if we will look into the OER Commons, and this is a site of Creative Commons, they are also encouraging to develop their contents within the template which is they prepared, and you can create your content in that template and submit to them, and there will be certain quality assurance process. After that, they will release your content as open educational resources with specific licenses concerned. This is your first question. And the second one is relating to what is that? I think I'm forgetting. Yeah.
Just for a second, I was just going through a lot many questions which are being posted right now quickly, because we have answered for one, Dr. Panigrahi, because I could see there are a lot many questions. We can't really ask all of them. I think 1 hour, will further get consumed in that. One quick question that is being asked is that how can we create, our institutional policy for OERs? Are there any documents? Because majority, some of them, I could see that some 4 or 5 of our attendees have wanted to know about it, how they can create an institutional policy for OERs, and is there any document that they can refer to for creating this?
This is very nice question. This is it's very much close to my heart. So far, Commonwealth of Learning created in Asian region. We have created more than 30 to 33 institutional OER policies, including open and distance learning institutions. And to make it more easier and self-created policy for the institutions, we come out with a template, institutional OER policy template, which any institution can adapt and fill the template appropriately, logically, and under the good supervision of OER expert, so that the institution need to understand about the open education resources and how this policy works. That is more important. Within the mandate of the policy, institution can start working to promote open education resources for their institution. The template is available in our Oasis platform.
I think, perhaps what we can do is, as a recommendation of these webinars, among one of the recommendation can be, we can think about having some further session wherein we can, inform to our institutions how they can draft their own institutional policies and practically works for creating these OERs content and contribute towards it. That's perfectly fine. I was just wondering, Dr. Panigrahi, would you like to share that document, on OERs? What I was having a look at yesterday. Would you like to share that, on if you have it on the?
Absolutely. I will share with you a couple of documents which is available with Commonwealth of Learning, and which will be more useful for all participants, which we can able to share with them these documents. It will be helpful for them for their own self-learning. And however, I would encourage all our participants, unless or until you are getting all these documents, you please go for that 2 hours course, which will give you the lot of awareness about open education resources, and followed by this 2 hours course, you can use these documents, you can use these resources for enhancing your capacity on open education resources. And it needs practice several times. It needs practice and understanding, and start using this open education resources. Then while you are using that, will be create yourself to need of the creation of the open education resources, so that it will help you more widely to create open educational resources as well. Thank you.
Perfectly, yeah. So, Dr. Panigrahi, what we would appreciate is if you can send us across those documents which are in the open domain, and then which we can can send across to our attendees. We'll be really happy if we can get them, and then we will be happy to forward that to all our attendees here, so that they get further benefited by referring to that. this is perfectly fine. I really would like to apologize to all our attendees who have really posted number of questions on this. Dr. Panigrahi, you may like to share your email ID with our colleagues and with our attendees. Otherwise, we are going to, in fact, in our email, we are going to notify you also. We'll be intimating you Dr. Panigrahi's email ID, and you can write to him and can get further benefited with his vast experience. So because of paucity of time, we are extremely sorry we are not in a position to take any further questions, but we will certainly be Rashri. We have already this is from Rashri, who said that kindly share the details of the course on OER. We have already sent across that text message to all of you, and please kindly check. We have sent across the chat message to all of you with that the link of https learnoer.col.org, learnoer.col.org. Please go to that link for learning, and you can get yourself enrolled for that course on open educational resources. learnoer.col.org. I'll once again be writing on the chat box and as a chat message. I have already done that, but I'll just be doing it once again for all of you, and we will also make a point to inform you once we are sending you an email. So once again, I have sent across this message to everyone, and again we will remain assured that we are going to again inform you about it. Along with that, as being promised by Dr. Panigrahi, we are also going to send across many more documents on the subject of OERs. So we would like to it's a moment now for us to thank firstly to Dr. Shadrack, the director, for acceding to DELNET's request in collaborating in organizing this wonderful webinar session. And there have been many takeaways from this session. We have been able to learn a lot, many new things that we have learned, because of the wonderful deliberations being made by Dr. Ranjan Panigrahi. We are indeed much grateful to you, Dr. Panigrahi, for sparing time, being there, and sharing your vast expertise with. And this is just a beginning. This is the very first sensitization webinar program that we have held, and definitely we are going to work together. DELNET and CEMCA is going to work together in organizing many more programs, and even the programs, as we could understand, also from the interactions with each one of you, how to create that OER content, what are the do's and don'ts, how you can involve your faculty, how the library and information science professionals can play, a very important, inspiring role, a motivating role, and coordinating this entire thing, and also to create these institutional policy at, for OERs, because that would really drive this entire, mission for creating the OERs and to become a part of a global movement of creating. And also, DELNET would be very much happy to explore the possibility of creating something exclusively, for this, as we ourselves are in the process of creating a very major big repository, which is our institutional repository, what we call the Desire Portal, digital exhaustive and selective information resources. We would really be delighted to have something exclusively on OERs in collaboration with CEMCA, bringing together the resources, belonging from various institutions all across, and which really are being, the open resources. So we'll be happy to even have, some exclusive initiatives that we would like to do. I could see that Dr. Shadrack had to attend some other meetings, so he signed off and he sent a text message and thanking each one of you for being a part of this wonderful webinar. And on behalf of our, DELNET, we would like to express firstly a gratitude to him and our sincere thanks for partnering with DELNET in organizing this session here. And we would like to express a very sincere thanks to Dr. Ranjan Panigrahi and Dr. Panigrahi. This is a small memento from DELNET as a token of our warm, sincere appreciation and regard to you, and for sparing time in being there with us this afternoon and making, it's like lightening up, illuminating each one of us with this entire. We have been seeing double CE and everything by and all, but not many of us have been knowing about what does that stand, and you have made the things very, very simpler, simpler to understand, and you have also inspired everyone to become a part of this OERs ambassadors, to become OERs ambassadors wherever they are, whether they are the library professionals or they are the faculty members, educationalists. So thank you so very much. We are indeed much grateful to you for your time and efforts in being there with us this afternoon. We would also like to thank the entire officials at CEMCA for the collaboration and all for their efforts in organizing this event. I would also like to most importantly thank each one of you for being there with us this afternoon. Your presence, your continuous participation in our programs remains highly motivating for DELNET to keep on organizing our sessions and to fulfill our mission and the vision of knowledge sharing, spreading knowledge, through this collaborative efforts, organizations coming together, each one of us coming together, and you really are the ones who are the major factors, who really inspires us all the time to keep on, having these sessions and creating a very collaborative environment of wherein everyone feels connected and each one of us are working together for a purpose, for a cause. And the cause is to create, this knowledge society, to create a difference in the lives of the people, and to continue with our efforts in a very genuine and meaningful manner. We truly remain appreciative of your time and efforts in being there with us. And we are also going to share with you all the, the deliberations and also the content as being highlighted by Dr. Panigrahi. We are going to do that along with, and also as I said, please do kindly, when we send you a link for YouTube, or you can subscribe to that web view channel of DELNET, we request you, don't keep it to your own self. Do inform, to your own library colleagues, to other professionals, to other faculty members, to other students, researchers, and scholars, because the main purpose remains that the information has to get shared. Let everyone becomes a wonderful part of this open, it's an open mantra that we are into. So it's an open collaboration, it's an open knowledge that we are into the era. So please, you already are contributing so immensely, and we would be really delighted and happy that if you take the mission further, by informing and let everyone knows about what these sessions and these collaborative programs they are aimed at. We remain highly thankful to each one of you for being there. I would also like to take this opportunity to thank my own colleagues, especially my two colleagues at DELNET who are working for the DELNET webinars, Mr. Kushalgiri Goswami and also Mrs. Ranjana, who have been working tirelessly and seeing to it that we are able to inform you about these programs well in time. And we truly remain appreciative of the presence of each one of you and everyone who has really make it possible for us to keep on organizing these sessions. So once again, a very big thank you to the entire team at CEMCA, including Dr. Shadrick, Dr. Panigrahi, who have really made this afternoon a truly highly enriching, illuminating afternoon, and we are able to feel that if we really are able to see that where we were 2 hours before and where we stand now, not many things have got cleared, and this is just a beginning. And we definitely would like to collaborate with CEMCA in organizing, not only organizing but also constructively contributing towards creating an institutional repositories of these OERs, helping the institutions to create those OERs and spreading the word. It's like sensitizing everyone, informing them about the real use of them. So thank you so very much for helping us out in initiating this entire new era for open educational resources, especially in the institutions here. And we truly are going to cherish your presence over here with us. So thank you very much once again, Dr. Panigrahi. It indeed has been a profound pleasure for us. And we would also like to thank each one of you for being there with us. So we would now like to sign off, and we really look forward to an opportunity to be back again with yet another webinar session. So till then, thank you so much. Stay happy, stay blessed, do stay connected, do stay informed, and we always greatly value your continuous support and cooperation to DELNET, and let's work together to create a difference in the society around with our dedicated efforts. Thank you very much. God bless you all, and it has truly been a pleasure in having you with us this afternoon. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Panigrahi. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Indeed a pleasure. Indeed a pleasure. Thank you. God bless you all. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you.